Welcome back to the DNA Pest Control Podcast, Part 2.
With your hosts.
With your host, Daniel.
And Aaron.
Did you not catch the Part 2?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Part 2 to what?
It's sort of a Part 2.
2?
I asked you.
Let's see, can you get it, what I'm thinking? Part 2 to what? What episode would it be Part 2 to? And don't go too far back. Go very, very recent.
Oh, like very, very recent?
Like very, very recent.
Like this past
Like probably an episode ago, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. What was the episode?
Oh,
I know.
dude. Oh, my gosh. Okay, so, Aaron, come on. You're fired.
I know. That's okay.
No, you didn't even know. I was thinking about it when we were talking. Part 2, and we didn't even say Part 1, but now that's going to be Part 2, because now I'm thinking about it. What we're going to talk about today goes hand in hand, just a little bit deeper to working smarter, not harder.
Not harder.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And it'll make a lot of sense as we start diving into it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to start with, our favorite people, the techs.
The techs, the boots on the ground.
The boots on the ground, the guys that should be killing it,
Mm-hmm. but
then whine about everything.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. We have whiners.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Do we?
Yeah, we do. Some people whine.
I know. I just wanted to hear you say it.
Yeah. No, it's gotten a lot better. Not as much as before. Actually very little compared to before. But we've been squashing it pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
We don't let them whine.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, guys, get over it.
Which ties into what we're talking about today.
It does. It actually really does. And what that is what we do today actually helps us in the future, and it can make it easier in the future. And when we say that it's specific to techs, is future services, right? Mm-hmm. I would assume most houses, unless you're in Australia, our buddy from Australia, Zach, he was saying that he only does treatments like once a year. Mm-hmm. So that's not going to help you in your future services, because I wouldn't assume the chemicals would be there still. But if you're over here, in the U.S., Canada, I know they do it. I don't know anywhere else. I think Europe does it. Who else did we talk to? From London? Did we get someone else?
Canada.
It was Canada. Nobody else? Not yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, from across the pond,
mm-hmm.
Come on, guys. Jump on board. Let us know. Yeah, you got to let us know. But we do services every 30 days. Commercial accounts, some commercial accounts are every week. So you'll get into weekly, you'll get into bi-weekly. We have some funky ones. You're going first Wednesday and second Wednesday or third Wednesday of the month. Mm-hmm. Then you get into 30 days, every 60 days, some every 90 days, and then your random ones that want every 6 months, right? Or every 4 months or whatever. It's just weird stuff. Mm-hmm. But what you're doing and how you're treating the home and interacting with the customer can either make your job easier in that 30, 60, 90 days, or it can make it a lot harder. Mm-hmm. What are some things that you have seen that have helped that and have created an easier route for yourself, in pretty much talking to the customer or servicing or whatever it may be, but what have you done to help that?
I take it house by house because each one is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Customer's a little bit different, depending on what area you're servicing, what the environment's like, if they're by water, if they're in a city next to construction. I take a lot of those things into consideration. Mm-hmm. I mean, some of the more simple stuff is, when you're de-webbing homes, are you spraying those eaves? Are you going back through some of the notes to find out where a lot of the webs are usually caked on there, what type of pests they normally deal with, if they deal with, Oriental or Turkestan cockroaches on a normal basis? Are you doing things to prevent that from happening? And I'm going just treatment because for me, in a damage control position, I find a lot of the benefit comes from the interaction with the customer. That's where a lot of the headway's made on that.
Well, you started even better than that, is you went off of visual. Mm-hmm. You went off of what's around. I'm paying attention to the environment. Mm-hmm. I go to a house. It's a brand new development that was done 3 years ago, and they just started breaking ground. Mm-hmm. you already took that in and said, hey, look, I'm going to now talk to the customer and I'm going to use that as communication with them. Because I've done that. They're like, oh, I'm seeing all these bugs now. And I'm like, yeah, of course you are.
Makes sense.
Yeah, totally makes sense. They're breaking ground right behind you. You're going to probably see a lot more bugs. You know, and as they're moving that ground, you're going to have a ton of pests. You know, and now you got to go in to explain how pesticides work, right? What's the guarantee look like? And so then they're prepared for it. Because I've gone out behind, and actually, I'm going to give some of the old techs some credit. I've gone out behind old techs, and their customer service and education, even though it wasn't always 100% honest and truthful in any way, but they at least educated the customer. And I had customers where I'm like, hey, I did this. And they're like, oh yeah, don't even worry about it. I already talked to the last guy, you know, who's been doing it for years. You know, he already told me everything about it. And then they're making some stupid thing up. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess he bought the lie, but
same result at the end.
You know what? They didn't talk about it. They didn't care. They're like, if you get it, cool. If you don't, whatever. I don't care. I already know that it's not going to matter. And it's like, oh, okay, well, that made my job a little bit easier. I'm still going to do it, but it made my job easier. But it was that are you visually taking that in? One thing that stuck out is the bait stations. When you're saying that, you know, are you looking at the notes prior? And when I go up to a customer, I say, I'm going to check your bait stations prior, before they're even saying anything. How's it going? I'm here. I'm going to take care of it. I saw the notes about the bait stations, the 2 in the back, 1 by the shed, 1 inside the garage. I just need access to the garage. Boom.
Easy.
Done. Already educate them. They're confident in me. And that's a new tech. So that's actually a tip for a new guy. You're just barely starting a route. You got those notes in there. Use that from the get-go.
Oh, yeah.
You know? What else were you going to dive into? Sorry, I cut you off there.
No, it's all good stuff. I mean, because there's 2 sides of it. There's the actual treatment side for the technicians. And like you said, new development. We have one a few miles down where just every neighborhood around them is currently being built with houses. And the houses themselves, they're clean on the inside. There's not a ton of clutter, but they do have a lot of bark area, and they have a lot of things that would create kind of harborage for certain pests, like that, you know, some of the outdoor roaches, where a brand new development, all of these cockroaches are coming in the garage and they're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
You know, so I know I'm taking a little bit more steps to treat around some of like the areas a little bit more with a little bit more moisture, like the water boxes or the utility boxes that are down low in the ground. If they have tons of bark, I'm sprinkling the granular bait, even if it's not raining or planning to be raining. I'm like, hey, I already know that this place is going to be infested with how much is going on back here.
Yeah.
Other than that, on some of the commercial ones, I'm pretty mindful at like the structure of the building itself. Like if I'm in a commercial kitchen and it's like the back door is like rickety and like barely clicking on there, and all the sinks underneath, there's like holes everywhere through all the piping, and there's cracks and crevices. I'm taking a little bit more time with my B&G and really getting in those crack and crevice areas, because I know there's going to be bugs there. You know what I mean? So treating a brand new, like perfectly sealed tight restaurant and treating one that's crumbling apart, yes, they're still getting the same treatment for the same general pests, but because you're doing it from a different perspective, you get more consistent results. Yeah,
there you go. It's the consistent there. You're not necessarily going to get better results. You're just doing it different.
Yeah.
You're kind of customizing that specific treatment because of what you've seen, you know, and what you're going to tell the customer.
Yeah.
You know, so and what I tell customers too is I'm already, you know, preventing something bad from happening. We actually just had a sale today, and I talked to the customer about it. And they said, oh yeah, so your treatment is, you know, so it's going to take care of the ants and cockroaches. And I said, wait a minute. Depends on what type of cockroach. Are you talking about the bigger cockroaches that come from the outside and happen to get in every once in a while? Or are you talking about the small cockroaches that are infesting your kitchen and bathroom? Because that is a completely different treatment. Now our guy can come out and he'll inspect and see what you have, but it's going to be different. Yeah. It's a different treatment. It's a different cost. So what Yes, ants, yes. Cockroaches, don't generalize it. Don't just say yes to the customer, right? I have already pre-warned this customer that depending on the cockroach, it will dictate the price.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. What are you doing right now? Brand new customer has never had us. They already know what's going to happen if something pops up.
Yep.
They already know. So that is what we're talking about when you're helping. You're doing the treatment. You find holes. You're doing all those things. How are you treating is going to prevent a problem in the future. And right now, it's a great time. We're mid-February. Now, if you do a service in 30 days, it's probably not going to change much because 30 days from now, it's still going to be cold, probably going to be rainy, especially where we're at. Well, you go 60 days, it's probably not going to be rainy. There may be some rain still, but it's going to start warming up.
Yeah.
You go 90 days, we're in May. Well, May is where everything starts to, tick up, and we're having a lot more pest issues. So how you're treating that home, that restaurant, that property today is going to dictate how that pest is going to react in the future. Are you just doing that quick run around the foundation, spray and get out? Or are you hitting every crack and crevice where those insects are hiding so that they're dead prior to even summertime? So they're not coming back out and reinfesting or bugging the customer, and you're getting those complaints.
Yeah.
There's so much behind that, even when you're de-webbing. This is a big one that guys don't do. And I see it even sometimes today. It's like, I don't see a web, so I didn't de-web. And what I always was taught, and I agree with it because it made sense, is just because you can't see a web 10, 15 feet up doesn't mean there's not a web there. So by the time you come back out and it has dust on it, it's now going to be visible and a problem. So even though there's not a web, are you still hitting every eave pocket? Are you still hitting all those eaves and doing a little square around them?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you can see it or not. You got to do it. If you do it, you're not going to have that issue. Now it's easier and you can do it faster because there is not a ton of webs. But you wait 90 days, you're going to have some big issues, What else did you see on the technician side?
When you look at a property, just kind of going a little bit more specific example, if I'm at a property and they have like a huge like backdoor seating entertainment area where it's very clear that there's a lot of foot traffic and there's tons of like bark, rock, like these huge walkways, I'm spending a lot more time treating around those areas because it's going to be in front of the customer's eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if I'm on the side of the home where 90% of that space is taken up by a storage shed, I'm not saying I'm, cutting the customer short on service, but I'm paying a lot more attention to detail on things that matter to the customer.
Yeah.
That was the only thing on the actual service side. I think what you hit on is the actual communication side, especially with new customers.
Yeah.
Something I say a ton in the field is, I'm saying this to the customer, like, people's idea of pest control kind of varies from person to person. A lot of people think I'm going to come in here and do something and wave a wand and you're never going to see a bug again. And I stop my sentence. I'm like, that is not going to happen. Like I'm letting you know, like bugs are always going to be around. You know what I mean? And it's case by case. I just want to set the expectation. But depending on what you're using, this is for our end or for people listening, depending on what software or company or system you're using, usually you allow like callbacks or return services, things that come up that's included with their service. But a technician who isn't thinking about that in the future is like, oh yeah, I'm going to spray for ants. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of everything. I'm just doing this. And they don't even really treat the inside. They don't ask where they're seeing the ants. They don't ask if there's any more problems. So I'm just trying to dig a little bit deeper and then documenting those notes in, because notes kind of transition to the overall picture and kind of transition into the office, which is why we initially changed the name of this episode from how you treat today versus what you do today, Yeah,
and it is. Yeah, we did change that because as we jumped in further, it is about what we're doing as a whole, as a company, from every level, not just from the technician side. and we did have an episode on it about text, about servicing, about educating the customers. But there's so much more to it. The text is one part of a bigger system that now creates and really prepares the customer to to what's going to happen. And there's a few things that you say, right? You just had a little, statement that you tell people. I have plenty of them, right? It's pest control. It's pest management. I'm controlling a pest. I'm managing the pest. That's it. I'm not exterminating the pest. I'm not eliminating the pest forever, right? It's all in our titles now. We're not going to kill everything 100%. The other thing is, if you have big cockroaches in your area, we do out here now, and it's more and more over the years. Are you pre-warning those customers, right? Someone's like, oh, I found a dead roach. Cool. It's dead, right? Like, how are you reacting to that? Are you like, oh, awesome. Yeah, it sounds like we're doing our job. That's a good sign that it's dead. Yeah. It means it got into our product and and when we killed it, that's perfect. Yeah. Are we going to eliminate them? No, we're not. No, because I can't choose what your neighbor who's only 3 feet away from you does. I can't. But are you telling that to a customer?
Yes.
Are you educating that customer? Are you letting them know when it's ants? Did you do everything you could in your power? If the answer is no, did you educate them in that moment? Hey, I sprayed your kitchen. Okay. I didn't bait. I didn't do anything else. I just sprayed your kitchen. You may see ants in the master bathroom.
Yeah.
Okay. Just so you know. That I sprayed here, and we're going to hope that this eliminates them, but it may not. If it doesn't, please call us up. We'll be back out here. But if we do come back out, next time you have to leave and we have to spray your entire property.
Yeah.
We'll do it your way now, so it's not an inconvenience, but next time it's our way. But I just want to let you know, this is what you're looking for. If it works, cool. We did it. If it doesn't, which... we're talking about a living insect, right? I mean, it's a living being. It may not work.
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't know where the nest is. We don't know where they're hiding. We have no idea. And a lot of the times we come in and we see one, or we don't see anything, and they're like, yeah, they're normally here. Okay. Where? Yeah, like, all right. So it's like along this wall. Yeah. Okay, well, I can spray that area. Let's hope that they walk back in that same exact area. So take it as, don't just make the customer feel good. I know that's what some companies push for, but that's not correct. Lying to them or just like, yeah, it's going to work. I'm going to spray extra heavy today. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. It's like, no, just get the expectations where it should be. It can work. It has worked in the past. Is it going to work? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And sometimes that even doesn't work because I've done it with bed bugs. I've done it in situations where we've done certain things and I've even pre-warned them and it still has come back and they're like, well, you didn't take care of it. And I'm like, well, I did tell you it may not work. So you chose the cheaper service knowing that it may not work. I tried to pre-warn you and some people just don't care.
It even got pretty... I guess fun is a word. Like when we're doing all the burrowing rodents up there up the hills, and we got to a point where we had to tell people, like, upon the initial estimate, like,
nothing is guaranteed.
No, I'm serious. They were like, is this going to work? I'm like, I don't know. Some places we've baited and placed out these traps in the mounds. It's been great. Some places we've done it and it's done absolutely nothing. In fact, it's gotten worse. So I don't know. I'm telling people that.
Yeah.
Because I got sick of the latter when I was like, it's going to be doing this. This is what the bait does. This is what the traps do. We'll be back every day or every other day to check them. And they felt good and I felt good. Go back there and their lawn's destroyed. And they're like, why'd you do this to me? Why did I pay all this money?
Why did you?
So there is so much truth to that. Like being better about the expectations up front has saved us a ton of headaches because now all these customers that call in, months or weeks later, they're like, hey, we got this again. I already know it's going to be more. Can we just set up another round of baiting? You know what I mean? I understand. They're telling me the guarantees that I told them, which helps.
Yeah. Yeah. And and that all goes in together. And like I said, it's a team effort, right? Mm-hmm. That customer most likely called the office first. Mm-hmm. They didn't call the tech first. They called the office first and got an appointment set. And what was the conversation like in the office? I know we have a few people listening that are sitting in an office, that do listen to the podcast, and this is going back on you. What are you telling the customer? Are you promising something that we can't do? Are you setting the technician up to fail in hopes that you're going to make them happy in that moment to get them off of your back in the office?
Yeah.
Setting that expectation it's crucial from the office point of view, which luckily we've gotten the office and we just had a big meeting on it, and we had the office sit in to get onto the same page as the technicians and listen to what the technicians are saying so that the office knows that's what the technicians tell the customers. Mm-hmm. So we need to be on the same page. And what do I tell the customers, right? And we did it so that the office would say the same thing that the technician was going to say.
Yeah.
And or more extreme, like you have to be out of the house for 2 to 3 hours. I mean, you don't have to be out that long, you know, depending on the treatment. But when I get there, it's perfect because then I can say, yes, some people do step out for that long, but you don't have to. Mm-hmm. And this is why. And plus the office doesn't know the situation either.
Right.
They don't know if there's kids. They don't know if there's pets. They don't know what's going on. So they just go to the most extreme, which is great. Mm-hmm. But are you doing that? So when someone calls the office, I got rodents running all over the place. I need you guys to come out and set up traps. Hold on. We need to set up an estimate. There's a process. We got to do that process. Mm-hmm. We set that customer up, so that we can succeed as much as they can.
Yeah.
And it starts with that communication, even from the office.
Yeah, it does.
We have rainy day. That was a big thing that I had to talk to the office about too, right? We start getting into the rainy day and they're like, well, what do I say? What do I do? I tell them the same thing. We have treatment methods now that we can use in the rain. Mm-hmm. We don't have to spray that specific chemical. We have granules that are water activated that we can go and treat around a home, and it works. Mm-hmm. What does that look like on the office setting? What are you saying to the customer to prime them for success in the future, or to prevent a callback that could be harmful, or make the technician look bad and then make you look bad.
Yeah.
And just so everyone knows, just because you throw text too, listen guys, don't turn off yet. Just because you throw the office under the bus, that means you're throwing yourself under the bus. You work for the same company. Mm-hmm. You did not make yourself look good.
Yeah.
You made both of you look bad. Mm-hmm. It doesn't help. I've had it. I show up and they're getting mad at me because a text said this, and then I say something else and they're like, but that guy said this, now you're saying that, and it's like, hey, I'm just telling you how it is. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry that they mentioned it that way. I'm not saying that they're necessarily wrong, right? There's multiple treatment methods. I'm just telling you this is what we're going to do today. Mm-hmm. And we need to try different things to make sure it works.
Yeah.
So then I'm trying to kind of save face, right? Let's make it so we both look good.
Yeah.
And then afterwards call the guy and say, hey, you idiot, what did you say? Why would you say that?
Yeah.
But when you're throwing a tech underneath the bus, I don't know why you didn't show up on time. Yes, you do. You can go look at his day. Mm-hmm. Most likely it was planned by you or somebody.
Yeah.
You know exactly why he didn't show up on time. Now, if he was late, once again, you say, oh, he wakes up late. He's always late. That doesn't make you look good. Now they're looking at the company saying, well, why are you just not taking care of the problem?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make everybody look better. It doesn't make you look better. It makes everyone look bad.
It's true.
And worse.
It's true.
When your experience in the office, did you ever say anything or educate, the customers in any way?
Oh yeah. I mean, you were talking more specific on the actual office communicating certain treatment methods and certain account or like services being set up and the expectations. I'm thinking more even on like the scheduling side of it, the system side of it, the billing side of it. Because I did spend a little time in the office and
yeah.
And you get these people where you have an 8 to 12 time frame. It's 11 o'clock. Customer's like, I completely destroyed my whole day. I need to know exactly when the tech's going to get here. And I'm like, I was like, yeah, I can give him a call. I don't know though. I mean, you're still within your time frame. Looks like he's going to be there. We have a call ahead on there, and I think educating the customer is almost, it kind of goes hand in hand with protecting yourself as an employee and protecting the bottom line. I mean, I know if you're entry level, some of these things you might not think about on a day to day, but we were talking work smarter, not harder. And the reason why stress piles up is because you're not dealing with things in the moment. So customers calling upset, the easiest way, at least in my opinion, just eat it. Be like, hey, that's on us. Like we try to pack his day and he just took a little bit longer at some of these earlier appointments. Let me see if I can get some things moved around. Let me call him, see if he's finished up at this stop. He can go right to you. Maybe 15 minutes, 30 minutes, Yeah. It's just something. Just something versus me saying, I don't know. He's supposed to be in there. He'll still give you a call. Looks like he's going to be there, but just hang tight. He'll give you a call. You're just setting everybody up for failure, setting for that customer to get pissed off with the tech when he gets there, tech to get pissed off because it's like, why'd you guys route me this way, versus taking those steps and communicating. It's like, I'm telling the tech, I'm like, hey, just letting you know, customers asking where we were at. We kind of try to squeeze a ton in this morning. If you can just go directly there after your next appointment, I already called them and let them know you're on the way. Yeah. And it's done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you're right on that. It's, we've tried to do this whole thing, and I've always been against it. I'm pretty open and, vocal about it. Is the customer's not always right. The customer doesn't know what's going on. They don't get it, but owning up to it is way better than the company that tries to lie about it or bury it under something else or something like that. It's like, we could have done better there. Now, what are you going to say? You're
right. You could have. It's like, you're right. I know. I just said that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know, man. I'm going to talk to who we need to talk to and figure that out and see what's going on. Like, what else you want? What else you want done?
Yeah. The solution.
Yeah. But that's what it comes down to is, sometimes we go into it and it's like, we try to make somebody else look bad, or we blame it on the tech, or we do that, or blame it on the office, or we blame it on management, or we do all of these things. And in all reality, it just comes back to, are you actually going to do something about it? Are you just owning up to it? Can you own up to it? Can you tell them, yeah, that is, because we've had more opportunities to stay with someone because we've owned it. And we have. It's like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, we did screw up on that, and they're like, yeah. And it's like, but we're going to fix it. Will you at least give us the opportunity to come back and fix it? And it's amazing what people will do. It's like, okay, I will.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, I was just thinking of one where it was early on in when I was first getting out there as a tech, and I was doing a rodent inspection. I was trying to get behind a dishwasher. I ended up ripping up some linoleum. And this property manager at the time was already like pretty pissed, and she had a lot of things going on and all these treatments, all these things going wrong. She's like, how'd it go? I'm like, well, good news is they don't have any rodents, but I did rip up the linoleum though, pulling this out. I was like, I took pictures of it. I'm like, I just want to be straight with you because you're gonna see it when you're in there. Her reaction completely blew me away. She was like, it's okay. She was like, we're getting those replaced anyways. We'll fix it in there. And I'm like, oh, thank God. You know what I mean? But awesome, instead of trying to just like step on it or just like trying to make it look like it's flush, it's like, dude, just own up to it. Like, you messed up. And that's the thing. It's like me like saying, oh, well, no one's going to see it. Let me just push the dishwasher back and, glue it down. Hopefully no one notices. So that way when they do go in there and try to move somebody in and they see a ripped linoleum and look at the work orders and say, I was the last one in there, that's when we're screwed.
Yeah. Because then you're hiding it. You're not saying it. You're not being vocal about it. And that's exactly right.
I don't even know if I told you about that.
I remember another time, maybe it wasn't at that property, somewhere else. Oh, you know what? No, we, there was another one over at that property.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I put a glue board underneath the oven in the warming tray.
Yeah.
And someone turned on their oven for like 12 hours and it just like melted it. And then they like called all pissed off and I'm like, that couldn't have been us. Like, what do you mean? Like that section, but we end up finding out. I'm like, oh, you know what? Yes. And maybe it wasn't me. Maybe it was another guy. I'm like, yes, we put glue boards. Oh, it was me. I remember now. Everything's coming back. I put it in there. I even showed the tenant because I always do this. And this actually goes back. This is now back onto the text, but this is a great experience. What I did was to set up for success. Now, the tenant got scared and lied because they thought they were going to get in trouble. And then the heat started coming back to me, which then I had to go in and explain. And if they didn't ever bring the tenant and me into the same room, or they would have fallen apart, guaranteed, because I actually pulled them in and I show them where every glue board is. Because I want them to see where I place the glue boards. If they have pets, if they have kids, then they know this is where I placed it. If your kid gets into it, it's not my fault. I am showing you where I'm placing these things.
Yeah.
Right? Set yourself up for success. Work smart, not hard. You go and hide these things everywhere. No one knows where they are. And then something happens, you're screwed, because then they're going to come in and say, why didn't you tell me that you placed one there? I could have told you I always place my hand in that area.
Yeah.
Right? So I always go through, and this one I specifically showed, look, this is where a lot of mice typically hide. It's underneath. It's in the heating tray. All technicians listening, I bet you're nodding your head. Yeah, I've seen a lot of mice in those areas. Behind the oven, there's a lot of mice in those areas. And I placed it there showing her, hey, this is where I'm placing it. We even took stuff out from underneath to be able to place it. And she still turned on her oven for who knows freaking how long. And I don't even know how long you have to have it on there to melt it down there.
Just melt it down to a piece of paper with all the glue off of it. That's
like
nuts.
Literally, like it destroyed it. I'm like, what did you do to get it to that point? And how long was this oven on?
Yeah.
Which is scary because I've never had that ever happen in my entire time placing glue boards, even at my own place.
Yeah.
And at the time when I did it, we used the oven a ton. It never got to that point and never affected the glue board. So I don't know what you have to do to get it to that point, but they did. But it was setting it up. The expectations were there. I talked to them, and then I did learn one thing. Not only did I learn that I need to tell the tenant, I need to tell management.
Yes.
And that goes for the office. Not only do you need to talk to the technician and tell the technician these are the things that you need to do, you need to clarify with management, these are the things that we're going to go do at this property. These are the expectations. This is the process. This is what's going to happen. So are you educating them and setting yourself up to, this is kind of the process and the plan. And when something goes wrong, hey, we already set this up. Now, it doesn't always go that way. We had a lady with that cleaning under some solar panels. She refused 3 separate times. We have email correspondence. She still doesn't like us because we didn't clean underneath it, even though she refused it, right? We even set her up. This is what's going to happen. This is the process.
The whole thing.
Do you want us to do it? No. Do you want us to do it? No. Do you want us to do it? No. I got someone else to do it, and you guys are bad people. It's like, okay, we offered 3 times.
I can live with that. Yeah.
But at least you covered it and you have it all in line. But are you setting it up? Is it always going to go in that way? No, because people are liars. People are going to manipulate. They're going to hear what they want to hear, and they're going to change what you said or what was said to something else. But as long as you're educating in the moment, as long as you're helping the customers, especially starting with the communication from the office, this is what's going to happen. You talk about time frames. Office. I'm sure you people listening in the office, they're like, oh, I know techs never show up on time. They're always late. Some techs just talk way too long to customers. They don't know when to shut up, right? Are you just letting them know and opening up a time frame? It's not a 4-hour window. We can call you in an hour prior, okay? I tell people, go do whatever you want to go do. The tech will call you an hour before they show up. No, I just got to hope the tech will actually do it.
Yeah.
But if the tech does it, it's cool because they're like, oh, really? Oh, yeah, I could be anywhere and I can make it back in an hour. I said, great. Go on with your day. Don't worry about us. We will call you when we're coming.
Exactly.
And they're usually thrilled about it. But I'm not setting it up so that the tech fails, and I'm not setting it up so I fail. Or hopefully not, if the tech follows through.
Yeah.
Right? Anything else on the office side?
Not a ton. I think just account setup, payment setup, getting them squared away for notifications, invoicing, billing. I think we hit this on the head a lot about doing things correctly in the beginning makes it so much easier in the future. I'm reiterating everything they're saying back to me, so the information that I'm putting on their customer card's correct. I'm repeating back to them the gate code. I'm repeating back to them. So, based on, the tech put in the note saying, hey, this customer asked us to spray like the shed, right? And they agreed upon an extra $10. It's like, am I doing the work to say, hey, technician just left your house. How was the service? Okay, good. Looks like you guys spoke about doing an additional structure each service. Now, according to the notes, you want that every single time, which is fine, but there will be an additional charge. So right now you're paying, $75. It's going to be $85 each service. Just so you know, it's going to happen every service. And it's like it's almost like a courtroom, right? It's like, so you're agreeing to this before I punch it in, because you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm just making sure that next time the tech goes out there, he already has the note to spray that. He already sees the note before that they talked about it with the last guy, that they're going to do it every time. Customer sees the bill. They're not freaking out because they remember a conversation. Smooth.
No, you can't get much better than that. I do the same thing. I put a note in there. So, Aaron, you do want the backyard sprayed for ants, correct? Yes. They're over by the patio area where the barbecue sits. Yes. Okay, awesome. I got everything in the notes. We'll see you this day. If there's a time frame, between this time frame, have a great day. Right? You are saying it back. I know some people put their ego ahead of themselves, and it's, well, I'm not even going to ask them. I know what they said. And it's like, yeah, but it's good to always refer back and just say it back to them. Yeah. I know what they said too. I just want them to know that I know what they said. Yeah. So they can't change it, because I repeat it back. So that is a good thing. With this, it goes back to smarter, not harder, right? And we did talk about management jumping in and doing more of the harder things sometimes that aren't necessarily smarter in the moment. It's smarter in the future, but it's not smarter in the moment. It's actually harder in the moment. What can some of those things be?
Okay, let's say you're over a group of technicians, and let's say your lead technician is a phenomenal tech, but kind of a shitty person and a bad apple for the team, and in the back of your mind, like, for a fact that it's not going to go anywhere long term just because of the comments he's been making or she's been making, but for a fact they also produce a ton. So it's like, well, for right now, let's just kind of see where it goes, and we'll put little things in here. During that entire time, he's planting seeds in everybody's mind about how awful this place is, and he's been telling everybody how he's been applying to jobs and how he's going to be making X amount, and he's going to be doing all this stuff. And it's a little bit of an extreme example. I'm just thinking, and things left unchecked or usually go from bad to worse.
Yeah. Well, and it's systems. It's systems. It's what you're doing. It's how you're planning it. And it even goes back to, we're kind of doing that already. Whoever is listening, a route technician listening, we're already doing the job for the manager, right? It's, are you already prepping and training your technicians, which is hard, to take the proper steps to educate so that their job is easier in the future? Did you take the time to create an entire meeting where the office and the techs could sit together and hear each other's responses to certain situations? Did you take that time? It's hard, and you have to plan it, but it's smart, right? Because then you get to even the playing field and really get it so everybody's on the same page. But you have to plan that stuff. You have to do some of those hard things. Now, once it's already planned, you just plan it. Okay, every 6 months we're going to do this. We already have the meeting. We already have the notes. We already have the questions. We already have everything set up. We're just going to do it again and see if anything's changed, anything's tweaked. We just do it again and repeat that and rinse and repeat. New guys are in. They need to know it anyway. The guy who's been here for 5 years, 3 years, whatever, yeah, it's going to be a boring meeting, but it's only boring if they make it boring. Mm-hmm. They can make it fun. They can bring, a positive vibe to it. And those are the good people. The ones that are just sitting there, head down on their phone, hoping the meeting just goes quicker. They're not great people. They're all right, and this is what techs don't want to hear. Yeah. You're a route tech. You're doing your job. You contributing more than that? No. You ever going to be a leader? Probably not. We talked about it. Mm-hmm. You want to be a leader? Act like one. Mm-hmm. But management, that's what you have to do. What are you preparing and planning today, or a system that's getting created today that's going to make tomorrow easier? Mm-hmm. And so you're going to have to kind of go at some stuff backwards, and it's going to be hard, but it's going to be smart. And then it flops in the future. Yeah. Soon then that becomes, this is the smart way so that you're not working hard. Mm-hmm. We created a system so it's not hard work anymore. Yeah. So there's so much to look at on the management side, but they got to be that mediator between the office and the techs, and helping the office understand this is what the techs are going through and what they're doing and how they're doing it. And techs, this is what the office is going through and what they're doing and how they're doing it. Mm-hmm. Not everything needs to be said, but they just need to understand a glimpse of that so they understand what is happening on both sides. Mm-hmm. So if I do this, that makes their job harder. Yes. Mm-hmm. Got it. Okay. Now I'm going to try not to do that as much. And then, I'll work on this stuff. Yeah. So management can always be a kind of a funky one, where you are building that, guys starting from ground zero, building it up. That's one error I made, is there was no system being planned as it was stepping forward. It was, okay, cool. We're in the future. We need to fix all this stuff, right? We got to go back and fix it, which is harder. It sucks, but that could have already been pre-planned prior to the growth. Mm-hmm. And if we have 3 technicians, this is what's going to happen. When we have 5, this is what's going to happen. As we have more, this is what's going to happen, right? And it's pre-planning that as we're going through it and growing. Mm-hmm. Some people don't have the time, and I didn't really care. I wasn't thinking about it. Mm-hmm. I was thinking, how many stops can I get done? And my focus really was teching. And that's where it was, how can I educate the customer so that my job next time when I'm out here is easier? Yeah. Where this entire episode was generated, and actually a past episode that we made came from. It was, my focus was teching, and how can I make the tech job be the easiest and most efficient as possible? But the office was never looked at, and management was never looked at, and nothing else was ever looked at. It was here and now. Mm-hmm. Let's see. I mean, anything with with management that we can throw out there and help, and maybe even for the technicians that understand about management.
Bridging the learning curve of understanding the bigger picture. Okay. And I like how you said it, because we do it so often because both of us have been on the road and in the office. And now we have techs who have been started off in the office and on the road. Yeah. So there's a lot more continuity and a lot more understanding of like the bigger picture of how things get scheduled, why things get routed a certain way, what certain notes and certain patterns mean for, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think that really does help. I think that without going too deep into it, to prevent job slip, because you can go too far with some of this stuff. Yeah. But understanding just basic damage control so everybody's lives in this wheel gets a little bit easier. If you're scheduling the appointment, are you putting the appropriate contact information of who to call for the call ahead because it's their son that's there? Did you put the note in about how the side gate's going to be unlocked because normally they're home and they'll let you in, but all you have to do is just reach over and grab it. As a technician, did you relay the information back to the office? And just a general understanding of how things work smoothly will give you even more ammo to provide yourself with more value. You know, when you're taking those extra steps to say, hey, this customer said XYZ. I know you've had an issue with them in the past. You may want to reach out and do this, instead of just saying, okay, completed appointment, next stop, I'm going home today, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I know there's going to be some out there, they're probably going to send in an email and they're going to say, well, what if management doesn't want to listen? And I told them that we need to send in notes and stuff like that. And then the office should do this. And that's what we mean by job slip. Is if you see a better way to do something that's not detrimental to what you've been asked to do and how you've been asked to do it, just do it. You know, you're not going to get in trouble.
Just do it.
Did you spray the home? Yeah. Did you make the customer happy? Yeah. And then you just decided to send a note to let the office know to update the notes? Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. Good job. You did everything you were asked to, other than you did something a little bit extra, right? You know, now when you go in and sit down with management and you're trying to say, hey, you're an idiot and this is what you need to do and this is how you need to do it, that's not the way to do it. You know, you can lead by example.
Exactly.
You know, you start doing it and you start showing the path, soon management starts to come in and say, holy crap, dude, what are you doing? And why is everything going so awesome on your route?
Yeah.
Well, this is why, you know, same with office. Office, are you proactively looking at a technician's day and saying, oh boy, it is 11:50 and he has a time frame between 8 and 12. Not going to happen. There's no way. Did you call that customer and already pre-warn them? Did you message the tech and say, hey, did you call this customer just to let them know? I'll call them if you need me to. I see that you're kind of running behind. That's when you start bridging that gap as well of text versus office, office versus text. You start helping each other out. And it's amazing too when you start doing that as an office personnel, because if you say, hey, Aaron, can you take on this one stop? The customer's pretty upset with us. I know it's been kind of a longer day. It is on your way home. Can you just grab it real quick? That guy's going to say yes. He's going to say yes every single time because he knows that office personnel is actually watching my back too and making sure I'm hitting time frames and even calling customers for me, helping me out so that we're staying on top of these people and making everybody happy.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, throw one on me. I totally got your back on that. I'll go take care of them. Don't worry. Because tomorrow when I'm running late, you're going to call that customer for me and you're going to handle it. And then I'm going to be able to show up to a happy customer, not a pissed off customer, you know, because you already pre-warned them, I'm going to be late, you know? And even if they are upset, you just prevented an entire waste of time for the tech to show up and listen to the customer complain just to reject him from the door.
Yeah.
You know, or he gets there and the customer's not there and then calls the office anyway, which is super pissed off.
Yeah.
You know, so all that stuff starts to intertwine is educating, communication, what you do right now makes it so it's so much easier then. And this is the more detailed part of, you know, work smarter, not harder. You're getting more of the details and little things to do to prevent some of the bigger problems a week from now, an hour from now, months from now. You're preventing all of that.
Really good part 2, an unexpected part 2.
Unexpected part 2.
About working smarter, not harder. But we did want to emphasize what we do today really impacts and eliminates future issues. So we've had a lot of stuff coming from techs, but for the office side, you know, as the business grows, obviously the tech team grows and the office grows. So if you are an office staff listening to this, send us in some things and some tips that you do, because I'm sure there's other office people listening who run into the exact same issues you do.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so please let us know. We have our Q&A at the end of the month. We still have openings for pest guests this month as well. Whether you guys go to our website, through our email, through our social media, please let us know. And thank you again for listening to the DNA Pest Control Podcast.